This is our first question. So we have a couple of questions for you that we believe that at the end of this video you should be able to have a solid background in solving almost all the questions relating to the exponential equations in your upcoming exams. Right? Each question has a way of solving it, so make sure that you stay here to the end. And this is what we are starting with. We have a 256 raised to the power x plus 1, and everything is equal to 8 raised to the power 1 minus x squared, right? So that is the question that we are getting. So we want to determine, well, we want to solve this equation. So in other words, we want to find the values of the guy here, which is the x, right? So that is what we are doing. So the key, or what we are going to use in solving this equation here, is that always in mathematics you should know what you have to use and how to use it, right? So if you have let's say 2 raised to the power x, so that is equal to 2 raised to the power 1. So the key here, the definition here is saying that whenever these two guys are the same, right? So these are the base, so that's what we call the base. So let's say they are your let's say this is your father, right? Assuming this is your father. If your father has a child somewhere here, it's the same father that we are seeing here. Can you see that? So let's say this is your father, right? So just by an assumption, so the 2 here represents your father. So if your father has a child, so x somewhere here, and it's the same father that we are seeing here, so the same father has another child by what? By 1, right? So the same, if that happens, we say that the children belongs to the same father. So in other words, we say that x is equal to 1, right? So this can only happen if these two people are the same, right? So if the number here, so technically if the definition, the base here are the same, you can easily equate the exponent, right? So that is the key there. So that is what we have to use, or that is what we are going to use in solving this particular problem here. Now the key here is that you see this number here is very bigger than the number here. So can we have the base here to be 8, right? So the 8 raised to the power something, that is the key, will give us 256. That is what we are looking for, because this is the smaller one, right? So we have here to be 8 raised to the power 1 minus x, or x squared, right? So here, can we raise this 8 to a certain power to have a 256? Now by now you know why we are doing that, right? So based on the assumption, but for sure we have that 8 raised to that should be 8. Can you get any number here? So if there's no number, right? So 8 raised to which power can give us 256? We don't have, I don't think we have a number here. So maybe obviously if you have some number that we can raise the 8 to that number. So this is what I mean. So 8 raised to the power 3, can that give us 256? If yes, we can proceed from there. If no, then 8 raised to the power 4. I don't think we have a number that you can raise 8 to that power to give us 256. Now, what is the trick here? So what are we going to do here? Can we find another number that these two people will have the same base? That is what we are looking for, right? So what do you think is that number? So the point here is that since we cannot find any number that exists in that way using the 8 here, so I can find another number. That is what the 2 raised to the power 3 will give me 8. So the meaning of this is just 2 multiplied by 2 and then multiplied by 2, right? So that is 4, and then 4 by 2, that should be equal to 8. It's the same thing. The only key is that it's just by rewriting the figure being given to you, which is for the 80. So here we have a 2 raised to the power 3, that is 1 minus x squared here, and then here we can have 2 raised to the power 8, right? So 2 raised to the power 8 will give us 256. So s plus or plus 1. Is that okay? Now you know why we are doing this, since you can see. So from the first assumption, or by the beginning of this video, you see what is happening. So what are we going to do here? We can easily equate these children, right? So from here we have the children to be 8 into bracket s plus 1, that is equal to 3 into bracket 1 minus x squared, right? So these people, you can only do that if these people are the same. If they are not the same, what do you have to do? That's why you need to stay here to the end of the video and see all the tricks that you need to solve questions like this. Now what are you going to do here? So at this point, what do you have to do? So this brings us to the point whereby we are going to expand the bracket. So this multiplied by that should be what, 8s and then plus 8, right? So the 8 is multiplied right in the bracket. That is equal to, we have 3, and then this multiplied by, be very careful with a negative, so that should be minus 3x squared, right? So what are we going to do here? You are just going to group everything together, right? So group everything, a number to a number, and then variables to a variable. Now because of this guy here, the s square here, that brings us to the point whereby we are going to solve this thing by a quadratic equation. So let's see, let's bring everything to one side of the equation and see what are we are going to do. So taking this guy here, we have a positive 3x squared. Remember, this is a negative. Then once you cross this wall here, you are going to turn your sign here. So you have a 3s squared, and then what follows? So what follows? So let's bring this guy, that is 8s, because this guy is already here, right? So here we have a plus 8, and then what about this one? Negative, right? So negative 3, that is equal to 0. You see how you got a negative, because this is a positive here. Once you are moving from your comfortable zone to someone's house, you have to behave like a stranger, right? So the meaning of the stranger is that your sign has to tend to be the other way around. Okay, here we have 3x squared and then plus 8s. What is happening to these people? That should be positive 5, everything equal to 0, right? So moving on to this point here, is that okay? So what is the equation here? So this equation here is what we call what, a quadratic equation, right? So solving this quadratic equation, that will give us our final results. Okay, this is what we had. We had what, 3x squared plus 8s plus 5, everything equal to 0. So by factorization, if you don't know how to use the factorization method, just comment in the comment section below. We have a full video on that. So by the way, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Once again, stay here to the end and see all the tricks that we are going to give you to solve almost all the questions relating to exponential questions and exams. Okay, now let's proceed. So by factorization, we should have s plus 1, and then here should be, that should be 3x and then plus 5, right? If you don't know how I got this, just comment in the comment section below. So solving this thing one by one, we have the s plus 1, that is equal to 0. This means that our x is equal to a negative 1, right? So solving this thing gives a negative 1. So picking the second one, or, right? So or we have 3s plus 5, that is equal to 0. We have 3s equal to negative 5, right? So dividing both sides by 3, we have our x to be equal to negative 5 on 3. So these are the two people that we are having. So we have a negative 1 and then what, sorry, we have a negative 1 and what, negative 5 on 3. So our answers are these two people, right? So these two people are the answers to this equation here. Is that okay? So that is a very simple. Let's look at the next question and see how best we can absorb another trick in solving. This is our second question, right? So we are given 3 on 2, everything raised to the power y, that is equal to 8 on 27, everything raised to the power negative 2 on 3. So for sure we are solving for the values of what, y, right? So the idea remains the same. So what we need here, irrespective of what a fraction, what we need here is that you must see the same person here. So that will guarantee us to equate the exponent, right? So now you can see that the guy here and the guy here are not the same. So here comes another trick or another rule here. I'm using this whiteboard marker to write against the whiteboard, right? So that is what I'm using. So what are we going to use in solving this problem here? Now the key here is that, remember, we know where we are going, to make sure that these people here are the same, so that we can easily equate their children, right? So okay, now the key here is that you must make sure that this guy here follow the smaller one, right? So that is the key here. Now the trick is, if you have one person here and then another person at the down here, everything raised to the power negative 1 or negative, right? So that is the point. You can rewrite this guy by changing these people upside down, right? So this guy can go top, right? So this guy will go top, and then here the one on top comes down because of the negative, right? So because of the negative. So this is what I'm trying to say here. So we are having a on b raised to the power negative 1. Then this should be equal to b on what, a raised to the, once that happens, you want the negative to vanish, so raised to the power 1, right? So once that happens, because it seems that they've turned everything upside down because of the negative here, so we want it to be in its original form, right? So by just switching this guy for us to have the positive number at the top here. So that's the idea that we are going to use in solving this question. Here we don't have any problem for now, so you have 3 on 2 raised to the power y. That's going to be, so what is happening here? So here tends to be 27 on what, on 8 raised to the power what, raised to the power 2 on what, on 3. Is that okay? So that should be something very simple and straightforward. Now we know where we are going, so since we know where we are going, this guy can easily be reduced, right? So if you want to reduce this guy, what are we going to use here? You can use the number. So here we have 3 on 2 using what, 4, right? So 2 on what, 3 on what, on 2, right? So using 4 here, 4 goes here, 2, and then 4 goes here. How many times? So if that raised to the power what, 3, right? Can you see? So here 3 raised to the power 3 will give us 27, and then 2 raised to the power 3 will give us 8. Is that okay? So you don't need to cancel out, you don't use any number to reduce it down, but meanwhile you raise it to the power, right? So everything, remember that it's about a big boy here, so multiply by what, the 2 on what, 3, right? So the 2 is just multiply. Is that okay? So this guy, the 27 on 8 here is just written as what, this is what I've done, right? So 3 on 3 on what, 2 on 3, right? So this is just like this 3 multiplied by 3 and then by 3, that's what, 27, and then 2 multiplied by 2 by 2, that should be equal to 8, exactly what we are having here, right? But remember, you already have 2 on 3 here, right? So this guy can also be written as 3 on 2 everything raised to the power 3, right? Moving on here, we have this guy to be the left hand side to be something like this, and then here we should have 3 on what, on 2, and then raised to the power y, right? So what is happening here? We can see the same person here, and then we are seeing the same person also here, right? So at this point we can just equate these people, right? So we can equate the y equal to what, this guy here, so that is the y equal to 3 multiplied by 2 on 3, right? So this guy is going to be equal to, can I say that this guy cancel out, right? These two people, they cancel out, right? So we have our y to be equal to 2, right? So this is how simple you can solve some of the questions like this. The most important thing is that you must know what to use and how to use it step by step. Now let's have a look at the next question. This is what our next questions, right? So here we are having 5 exponent s multiplied by 5 raised to the power s plus 1, everything is equal to 25. Now we know that the secret here is to make sure that all these people are the same, right? So here, unlike the previous one, we are dealing with just 2 people, but here we are dealing with 3. So for sure we are not doing anything to these people, right? So you have 5s plus 1, that is equal to, here tends to be 5 raised to the power 2, right? So that is a very simple and straightforward. But the key here is that something you must pay. What are you going to do from this point here, since these people are 2 here, right? So unlike the first one, they are just like one person on the left hand side and then one person on the right hand side, right? But here they are dealing with 2 people. That's why I need to apply a certain law here. The law says that if these people are the same, right? So if these people are the same and then they are multiplying, so this is what I'm trying to say. You know that already, right? So if you don't know, comment I don't, and then you have 3 raised to the power, let's say y, right? So these people are the same. Since they are the same and then they are multiplied, we just need to add their what, exponents. So we have 3s plus y, right? So they must be the same before you can what, add their children here. Is that okay? So that's what we are going to use here. So here we are going to have 5 raised to the power s plus 1. Do you agree? Okay, so that is equal to 5 raised to the power 2. So at this point we can easily equate this guy here. So everything at the top here and then equal to 2. right? So the reason being is that we have 5 here and then we have another 5 here, right? So that's a very simple and straight. So you have s plus what, s plus 1, that is equal to 2. This guy will give us 2x plus 1, that is equal to 2. Do you agree? So we continue from this line here. We have this is what we had, s plus 1, that is equal to 2. So solving this here, we are going to have an answer to be 2x, that is equal to 1, right? So 1, and now our x is equal to 1 on 2. So divide both sides by 2. You had s to be equal to 1 on 2, right? So those are some of the simple tricks that you must obey. So what about this next question here? At this point with this question here is that your first step is to make sure that can you manipulate this number here to look like the one here, right? So that is 3 here. Can we have another 3 on this side? If it is possible, yes, we can proceed. Then we are going to equate the exponent. If it is not, what are we going to do? That's why you need to stay here to the end and see what our upcoming questions on how we are going to tackle that step by step. Now here the key here is that maybe here you can rewrite this guy to be here, that should be 1 3 on 3 raised to the power, yeah, sure, you get it. So 3 raised to the power 3, that should be 27, right? So 3 raised to the power 3 is 20. So what are we going to apply? Have you said that up to now we are not yet there, right? So we are not yet there, so we need 3 as a base here. But here we have 1 on what, 3 raised to the power 3. Now this is what we are going to use here. So the key or one law here says that if you have 1 on you are the one at the down here, so I can rewrite this guy to be 1 raised to the power negative 1, right? So you've seen this thing from the previous questions and how you rewrite something like this, right? So this guy 1 on any number can be written as 1 raised to the power negative, right? Just that we are turning this thing up down. So here we can rewrite this guy to be, so you can see on the left hand side we are not doing anything to that. So here we have 3 raised to the power 3 everything on what, negative 1. Is that okay? So once again, this law here says that if you have someone raised to the power and then n here, right? So don't be confused with these letters and numbers. All that matters here that you should know how to apply it, and then the step-by-step way of doing that. So here, if that happens, we can easily multiply this guy and multiply that one. So that should be a and n. We are multiplying the 2, right? So that is one law here. So here we are going to have this 3 raised to the power 2x, that is equal to 3 raised to the power negative 1, right? These people are multiplied, right? So yeah, negative 3, right? So don't do this mistake in your exam, so take your time. So here we consider this 3 is the same as the 3 that we are having, so we are there, right? So I guess you should give me the answer to the x in the comment section. Just comment down below your values of the s at this point, right? So comment, make sure that you comment to solve this thing, give me the values of the x in the comment section below. Now here's the next upcoming question. So moving on to this part of the question, then we are given 25 raised to the power s minus 30 into bracket 5s and then plus 125, everything equal to 0. Now solving this equation here is that you must know how to solve a quadratic equation, right? So if you don't know how to solve a quadratic equation, just make sure that you subscribe to the channel, comment down below, or maybe check our playlist, and then we have the equations and quadratic. We've solved everything step by step on how you can go by the factorization method and the other methods that you are supposed to do. Now, but the question here is how this thing doesn't look like a quadratic equation if you know that already. But I will demonstrate that here one by one, so make sure that you stay to the end once again. Now the key here, our key here, or our secret here, is to always look at the smaller guy. So what I mean by the smaller guy here, those that involve the variables. So that is the 25 raised to the power x, and then we have 5 raised to the power. These are the two people that involve the variable. So among the two, which one is the smallest, or which one is the small boy here, right? So for sure 5s is the smaller guy, so you need to rewrite this guy to look like the one here. Is that okay? So what we are going to do, we are going to change this guy to be 5 raised to the power 2, right? So that should be 25. Don't do 5 multiplied by 5. Why? 5 multiplied by 5 will give us another way, so taking you to the different realm, right? So here 5 raised to the power 2 is the same as 25, and then minus 30 here we have can you see already we have the 5x here. So here we have 5x, and then everything plus 125, everything equal to 0. Right, remember the law we demonstrated in just the previous question. If you forgot, you can just go back, scroll back and check. So here we can rewrite this guy to be, how you see, these two people are multiplied, right? If that happens, since they are multiplied, we can swap them the other way around, right? So the s can come in and this guy can go the other way around. So here we are having, let me use a different pen so that you can see what is happening. So here we have a 5x, right? So 5x, and then what are they multiplied by? So multiply by 2. Can you see? So they are multiplied, so we can swap that. If you say 2 by 2, so let's say 2 by 3, that is equal to 6, right? So what about 3 by 2? That is equal to 6. That's why you say they are commutative, right? So that is why we can easily swap this these two people. Okay, now here we are having what 30, and then here is also going to be the same, that 5x, right? So let's see 5 exponent x here, right? So 5 exponent x, 5 exponent, so plus 1 2 5, everything equal to 0. We are heading towards the way we can have the quadratic equation so that we can easily solve that, right? Okay, perfect. Now what are we going to do? So we can say that let a, right? So let a, so let's use a. So let a equal to the one here, right? So a is going to be equal to we have 5 exponent s. So we are just going to replace the 5 exponent s by a. That is all that we are going to, so that we can see our quadratic equation, right? So here, whatever you see the 5 exponent a, let's put a there. So here we have a raised to the power 2, right? So a raised to the power 2 from here, right? So a raised to the power 2 minus 30, and then we have a there, right? So you have a, and then everything is going to be plus 1 2 5, that is equal to 0, right? So that's why I say at the beginning of the video that you must know how to solve a quadratic equation step by step. Now this is exactly what a quadratic equation looks like, right? So once you have this guy here, which method are you going to use to solve? We don't care the method that you are not restricted either by the quadratic formula or by factorization or by any other means. Is accepted, right? So here by factorization, so solving this, we have our a by factorization, right? You can use another method, nobody cares about that. So if your factorization is simple, then I would advise you to go by that. So we have we also have a, and then minus 25 equal to 0. So that is what by factorization method. That is somehow I advise you to use in solving this type of equation. So here we all know that we are going to have a is equal to 5, or we have our a to be equal to 25. These are the two values that we are having for the a. But remember, the question given is we don't have a in it, right? So we want to find the values of the x. Is that okay? So that is what we want to find, the values of the x. That is exactly what we want to find. So here, since we replace here, because we said that let's a here come and replace the 5 exponent s, so meaning that whatever you have the a here, you have to take your thing back, right? So we have our here from this point here, our a here is going to be 5 exponent x, that is equal to 5, right? So equal to changing the pen here becomes a work in solving something like this. So here you have equal to 5, right? So we are replacing this thing back, right? So 5 exponent s here equal to 5. Remember 1 here, right? Anything raised to the power 1 is the same number. So for here we are having our x to be equal to 1. So what about this? So that should be 5 exponent s equal to 25. You know what to do here. So we have 5 exponent of 5 raised to the power square. So meaning that we have our x to be equal to so these are the two values of the x that we had after I was solving this type of problem, right? So that is the answer to this question. that is why I say at the beginning, you make sure that you have to watch everything step by step here to the end of the video. So if you have any problem up to this point, just comment on the question number, either question 1, question 2, question 3, and then we can easily walk you through that one by one. Right? If you are gaining value, once again, don't forget to subscribe so that you have a content like this. If you have a special questions or topic for us to treat for you, just try and comment in the comment section below. Now let's have another trick question here. So this is the next question. I think maybe this should be for you, right? So up to this point, I think you have gathered some information and the tricks that you're supposed to know in solving questions like this. So maybe you should pause the video and try your hands on this question, right? So just try your hands on this question, come back and let's do the calculation one by one. Okay, congratulations for just trying, right? So in mathematics, don't panic, make sure that you do all the rough work, no fear of failure, right? So just try on. If you make a mistake, then you correct it and move on. But my advice to you is to make sure that you are not making mistake in your final exams or tests, right? That is the most important thing. Make sure that you try all the errors, try and error, and then fail, practice and do it again until you have it, but not in your final exams. So let's do all the discussion in the comment section below if you have any question once again. Now, where to start here? This is similar to the previous questions that we've solved, right? But the only thing here is that where to start is that you can only rewrite this guy to be 3x everything square, right? So because you are heading towards a quadratic, so minus this guy here can be 3x. Remember, multiply by 3 raised to the power 2. Do you know where this guy is coming from? Way back from the beginning of this video, if you have s plus 1 here, that is equal to 3 raised to the power s, and then multiply by 3 raised to the power 1. If the bases, these people are the same, then you can just add the exponent when they are multiplying, right? So that is what we are applying here. So the same thing goes here. So you have 3s and then multiply by 3 raised to the power 1 minus 27, right? Remember, we are not doing anything to this guy here. Okay, here we are going to have this guy to be 3x everything square minus 3x, and then that tends to be 9, right? So that's equal to 3. This should be also be 3, this guy here, and then minus 27. Is that okay? So here what are we going to do at this point here? So here we can make sure that we group everything, we send everything to the left hand side of the equation and see if we can get our quadratic equation. So numbers in front, we have 3x raised to the power 2, and then this guy tends to be numbers in front, right? So minus 9 and then multiply by 3x. And then what about this guy? These two people also cross the equal sign, tends to be a negative. That should be 3x. Are you okay? Are you following? All right, so we are just taking this guy to the other side. So this guy also tends to be a positive, or 27 everything that is equal to 0. All right, if you have any question, just make sure that you comment along so we are ready to attend to all your questions. Now look at these people here. These people here are something in common, right? So they have something in common. So what are we going to do to these people? Just bring one of them out and then deal with the numbers. Okay, good. If you've tried, and then here we have a 3x everything square, and then this is negative 9 and negative 3. That should be negative 1 2, right? And then multiply by, so let's put that into bracket so that we can see better. Multiply by the x. You are just repeating one of the, this is what we are having. We have negative 9x squared and then minus of negative 3 multiplied by 3x. So we can easily bring the negative 3 out. Negative, this is what 3 exponent s out, right? So we have negative 9 and then negative 3 and then 3 exponent s. So that is negative 12 and then multiply by 3x, right? So that is what we are doing here. Okay, now everything here that is added to 7, that is equal to 0. Obviously that we go to the quadratic equation here. So what are we going to do at this point? So we can let this 3x be any variable of your own choice, right? So nobody cares the variable that we are using. Just make sure that the variable that you are choosing is different from the one in the question given to, but here we are having the x, so you cannot choose x again. So you have to choose a different variable or a letter. Then you solve the quadratic, just like go back to the previous example that we just have. Once again, make sure that you give me the answer to this thing in the comment section below, right? So congratulations if you are still here, right? So this is the final question that you must understand in solving exponential equations like this. But this looks like the previous two questions, just the previous two questions that we've solved. But the trick here is that let's do that. So make sure that you stay here to the end and see the trick here. For sure, you know that here we can rewrite this guy to be 3 exponent x, everything squared, and then minus 5 3x, and then plus or 6, everything equal to 0. We know how to do this thing, right? So if I say let this 3x here equal to, let's say, y, right? So here we are going to replace the 3x by y. So you have y squared minus of 5y and then plus or 6 equal to 6. So this brings us to what, a quadratic or equation. You know how to solve this quadratic equation up to now. So after solving, you should have your y minus 2 and then y minus 3, right? Okay, perfect. So everything equal to 0. So these are the two factors that we are having. So solving them one by one, we have our y minus 2 that is equal to 0. So you have y to be equal to 2, right? But remember that we let the y here to be equal to 3 exponent x, right? So let's take our thing back. So we are going to replace this y by our 3x, that is equal to 2. Boom, this is where the question is coming from, right? Congrats for just staying here up to this point. If that happens, you can see here you don't have any very huge number that you can choose to reduce this down or simplify it down to suit the guy here, or here too you cannot do anything to that, right? So if this happens, if these people are not the same, so in other words, if they are coming from different fathers, there's no way we can equate that the children or the exponents here are the same. Does it make sense? So what are we going to, so we are going to take logarithm, right? Taking the log of both sides here, right? So both sides here, we are taking the log of the both sides. So log of 3x, that is equal to log of 2, right? So remember the law of the log here is that if this guy here being raised to the power, the x can drop down. So you have the x here, log of 3, that is equal to a log of 2, right? So what is happening, we are going to divide here by log of 3 and then divide here by log of 3. These people goes away, so you have x to be equal to the log of 2 on log of 3. That is exactly is going to be equal to, that be negative 0.63 and so on and so forth, right? Should that be negative? I don't think that should be negative, right? That shouldn't be a negative. So check this thing for me, right? So check. So that is one value of the x here. So the next one, remember we are just solving for 1 here. So the second one is solving this. So you have our y to be equal to 3, and then 3x equal to 3 here. This is boom. We are free to go here. We can easily say that our x is equal to 1, right? So 1 and this guy. So these are the two answers that we have for solving this type of equation. If you gain value from this video, once again smash that like button, comment down below, and then subscribe to the channel for more lessons like this. Just try and comment, or if you have a special questions on the exponential equations like this, comment in the comment section below, and then we are ready to help you worldwide. Thank you for watching.